Hello, community. So, first and foremost, if you listen to our videos, you should listen to the end. And as said, please don't hold us to something. In fact, if you want to leave a comment, go for it, and we will answer the comment, whatever. Maybe not. So, doesn't matter. So today we don't want to discuss the histoglyph. We already have discussed that one. We want to discuss the Requiem QITE, meaning way of pathed mirrors in magic. Now we understand that in the last video the mirror thesis was supposed to be more explained in detail. It also was an idea given on what you can do with a channeled emotion, on how you understand that the Voyui or the Valkyrie can be reordered to that emotion, and how that all would work together to create some sense of a magical tool frame of what is in your spirit. Meaning, we discussed up front first the envision, the result of the events, meaning how to recycle initiation to mid, and understand reflection by channel Voyui and advanced mirror thesis, meaning of how you understand what is of lumini and what is of light. Then we tried to discuss, if you understood what we mean, the histoglyph and how that is visibilizable to the spirit or pattern view. Then we further had some discussion about the Requiem, the Simet and the order of the Simet, and the idea of magic and power, meaning how you could, this death a part of you is irrelevant to this, immortality irrelevant. We discussed some words, and basically we understood how we can understand an emotion, challenge, and invite such of which that is. Now, after that, we also understood that an emotion can be then used to guide us away from shadows and how to work with shadows to illuminate what is of further emotional value by the symbols that are brought forth by the Valkyrie. Now, in this video, we don't really want to discuss the last ideas because you by now should be familiar with all of these concepts to further work with these ideas. And we do need, though, the visualization and to synchronize what is of this sort to be 100% sure on how to do it without causing harm to anyone. Most likely also not yourself, but in case of case, you can also always harm yourself, and I cannot prevent it. You should stop the magical process, but it's impreventable, even with your loved one as well. So, now to Requiem QITE. The way of pathed mirrors. What is that? As I said the last time, we discussed mirror thesis to a degree. We understood how emotion channeled can vary to the valuation of what will be the mirrored emotion back to itself reflected, and thus understand where the Simet will be drawn towards that emotion and how this idea will destruct or reconstruct the events. Now, this idea is now fairly valuable to understanding this further process. Meaning, recap, we understood now the Simet. We patterned an idea of structure and structuring, meaning we understood where the events works and how it works with the Voyui, how we channel it towards it, how we structure it, how we get our own order of these ideas, how to create our own order. We have some idea of initiation by follow to own serenity, meaning we understood the basics of the Requiem and how that would work and what that will be, and we found an element that can be reoccurred worked with by using the Simet to these destructive and constructive elements, but not destruction, and therefore we also know how that element of emotion can be connected to itself by how to use it, but not yet explained. Hypothetically, we maybe have created a spiritual body to use of histoglyph. As said, it's not mandatory, it's not needed, and the shadows around one's own mind are maximalized, illuminated to one's own spirit, meaning we incorporated that emotion into some idea of us to be also in the unreal. So we understand how to work with unseen and unreal, and for that we know how to use the Requiem to understand also these concepts, to understand these concepts by understanding one from the other, how to devise and decipher which is which concept, and how to work this with and for and by and against the Requiem to understand these concepts. Now, darkness has an attribute, meaning in sum to none. Darkness basically is not of any sort, right? It doesn't really give you anything but the idea that there is something in nothingness. That's the fundamental attribute of darkness. Every darkness can be different. Every bad thought, every horror trip is a different horror trip, even if the same idea. But it always gives you the same attribute. Something is there in nothingness, in fear, in something like it. Meaning, nothingness is all negation plus add. Meaning, all added, all negated, all added by negation, and blah, 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 blah. That comes with it. Now, if you understood this, you understand that the hypothetical is, in fact, playing now with something. At this point, if you do mistakes and do wrong ideas, which you can only most likely do if you worked with the previous concepts, and as said, then you can always fail this way by your own degree for knowing it, so enough matter. We understood that the words we're using, like unview and so forth, are defined like this, that this is teaching and this is magic, this is learning, and that we need to basically have a tool set of this, meaning this process here. We need to have a tool set of our own degree with that idea to understand how we even use magic and understand magic by our own level and our own self. Now, be aware it plays with this. If you have an immortal spirit, at this point where we interact with this, it maybe not makes you less immortal, but it plays with this idea. Be all your energy in total sensation. You can be less happy if you fail. Give no possibility to divert from the path. It can make you and give you destabilization on what you will try to achieve in your life. Now, totality, no, no mistake there. That will not be harmed. Stable energy, no, stabilization of energy neither. But the totality of stable energy that will not be harmed and will not be negated or need to be brought back from the state it was in, that can now happen pretty soon. That's why you really, at this point now, need to listen to if the angels protect you from this, or if the tools are really used by you for that idea, or if you understand the tools and cannot work with it fully yet. And also, please, why you cannot hold us responsible, and you will never be able to do that, is because these ideas are now just an additional idea. If you understand these tools, these concepts we present, they will not give you more opportunity to harm yourself in that way. Because if you eat food wrongly, give too much pleasure to desire, you're more harmed most likely than you are by this magical tool sets that they give you. Why thus mentioning it? Well, why thus mentioning it? Because in now the presence jades its story. Magic at this point becomes where we meant it has a danger. At this point, magic now has a danger attribute. It is now dangerous, because now it draws you to that idea. If you really like these topics, these videos, and actually get benefit from it and understand how it works and that it works, then of course no evil given. No sins against yourself, okay? But not to someone. Not us, meaning us are included in someone else, you know? To anyone who thinks differently, of course, otherwise I'm very sorry to even mention that like this. But the sense that magic gives you to life is only when you understand how to use it to basic level, not overdo it, or how to control every of that. Because it can make you fall astray. Just like all that is. Everything can. Because the force is darkness. It's dark. The force is dark. And the omen will always prevail. So magic. But nothing. Meaning, At this point, you play with this. But if you manage to do that and get all your spirit and mind away from that, especially if you integrate stuff into your spirit or your spirit view, meaning when we understood how the spirit view changes and how it is incorporated and how we get to form something around the spirit view that will protect the spirit view, like in the last video explained, where we not just understood how to channel an emotion, but also how to manifest a spirit view, like also in the third video previous, that is of this topic, how the spirit view is changed and reordered and to some degree protected, and therefore a protective house in your spirit that is also of some idea where the tools can make your spirit view be not of this accomplishment, then we understood that that will most likely be no, but also a derivation towards the darkness. Because at this point then we play with the immortal body, the immortal spirit body, but also further ideas. Where was it? Words, right? Oh no. So we then understood there at that point that how much spirit is translated back to thought, word, or magic or tool, we know how to use that to visibilize the spirit view to pattern result and sentenize of root the nature from spirit pattern. Yeah. And why did we do that? We did do that to understand where our spirit view changes and how it is interacted by magic. On this idea that I just presented, we understood in this idea how to encapsulate a variety of inner power. Yeah, but why did we do that? We did that to project to self by view of what is, meaning understand where we diverge from the path of magic that will then cause us to fail. Now, to protect our spirit view from bad consequences from the outside, blah 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 blah, and actually also to manifest our spirit view towards something that we want to conjure up into that realm. It's unlike when we discussed in the Requiem on how to initiate ourselves to the degree where we build a spirit darkened home that is not of spirit view yet. Now, the idea of magic and power now becomes important. By this you can protect yourself from this to a degree. If you understood this concept and actually implemented it to something that is successful, you have a state of mind that is fairly well protected from all of this. But if you still use the hypothetical idea that we presented, meaning maybe have created a spirit to a body to use by his to be for any magical power, meaning what could it be in reality else? Oh, you want to be a cyborg? Okay, you can be a cyborg. You want to use just aura work? Okay, you can use the aura work. But what comes with that? What, tarot cards? Okay, tarot cards change your spirit to a degree. So what helps against that? Voodoo idea. What is voodoo in reality? Just some wronged word that you put in your spirit. Meaning a word that guides your spirit is the same idea than a magical tool. Words are magic. That's why so often people refer to it as manipulation, which it can be. Don't watch Meine Platz, it's really bad for a woman. Meaning, the danger to comprehend really needs to be comprehended at this point. Thus, what we are also playing with is, where we went down? Psychosis, basically. Check. Some dive. Some utility. Words, same idea. Words, Zephyr, magic power. What's that name? Well, we try to explain when psychosis starts. I don't find the memo right now. I'm just doing to we tried to understand what a psychosis is. It's a wrong thought pattern. and that this all will maybe also arrive at that idea, meaning it can cause up to you that this idea will cause necessarily something to you that is of the sort of psychosis, and then plays with immortality, meaning a wrong thought pattern where you go back and forth in your mind and are not sure anymore because, and that's where we now come to the whole process. The way of pathed mirrors, meaning to understand this, he met and found an element that can be reoccurred working with, meaning also maybe use a spirit tool in that process. Darkness has an attribute at more, and that is infinite. It has an infinite plus one, maybe even more, maybe even plus infinite, but not people. We're now talking about darkness. Darkness usually means you have a fear, and that is nothing. It is not real, but it has some attribute, meaning that attribute, not only the one you ascribe to it, right? But one attribute. Now, use a spirit tool with that idea and understanding how that ordering changes you. You now take one bad thought, implement it to an element by the spirit view that can now be changed and controlled, and implement it in the hypothetical to create a further idea or any hypothetical scenario that makes a stable histoglyph, like previously mentioned, meaning when the histoglyph would be restabilizing and causing therefore the events to be more successful by channeling the emotion. That would then cause immense stress that is laid into a psychosis, by meaning an actual psychosis laid and created into your spirit by a wrong use of this magic. But how could that also happen in reality naturally? Well, imagine, without imagining, an apple. I said, we also discussed how to imagine things only from your own spirit, that it is only solely of your own. This also needs to be perfected. And that apple now is imagined as having a worm in it, and you eat it still in your spirit. That's the same idea. It's also magic, the same idea of magic. As I said, these tools give more protection than they do harm. They just present another option to do harm. But so much more in many options to cause that away, by understanding magic and the spirit of itself that causes this, and how to work with it, and also, if you know how to do it, some idea of power, meaning more freedom in your life. Now, how can you prevent that something of this occurs? Well, if you understand these patterns, we come now then later to the concept. There will be a good explanation on how to try to prevent that, but as said, maybe not the best one, I don't know. So if you wave a card to the staff, meaning to staff, thus hold the magic right by compass or a compass, then would be of essence, or by meaning fate. Thus you channeled your emotion towards an idea and use any of this, for example, meaning also just a magical tool, to the power you want to understand from it, or become of your own, meaning like previously discussed, how to create an own power that is solely of your own by a stabilizing, advanced, recaps emotion to histoglyph, to stable histoglyph. Then we're working with the element that we conjured up by the histoglyph. Is now of none of this. It's neither of essence, nor of darkness, nor of fate, nor of right. Meaning the compass that you now have, meaning the guide on how to work with magic, which should be obvious why this is now there. You can make a vocabulary and so forth, and understand how magic will work for yourself. Meaning, at that point then, every power magic comes without benefit or advantage. It just is. Unusual to me and us, but also unusual to me and us, meaning me and my mind here next to me. Meaning, don't lie to yourself. If you wave that card to power and thus created your own power and work with this idea and use the magical tool to wave to that idea, you already know that this can happen. And the magic ride by a compass would then be of its essence, meaning its essential nature, or even sealing your destiny to give you less opportunities in this idea in the future, as previously explained. Thus, every power in magic comes without benefit or advantage. It just is. It works. It's so weird about magic. Usually, when I am, for example, more aggressive in sports and therefore can grab the bottle in a different way that is quicker raised to drink or pour something into a glass, that is of tremendous disadvantage by benefit. But in magic, it's not like this. So now we come to the concept. Radio. So first, danger to comprehend, meaning and danger, but only the danger, and then threat, what you can comprehend by no but initiation, as previously explained. Meaning, don't stress your mind. Don't understand that the step would need something else and it does. Take no step if you must not. Hold your thoughts too much. Initiate yourself with these ideas. Understand. And then start. Meaning, danger to comprehend. Where does the understanding stop? When is understanding of no danger to comprehension? And when is comprehend only that, meaning this to there, left out, and no danger occurring anymore? Previously we discussed understanding to sentenize, an idea that will cause no derivation from the path. Now this time we don't want to understand understanding, or derivate from understand, but we want to actually work with how comprehend is forming if you are already mastered in that idea. Of your own degree, of course. No, not understanding someone else. I mean, you don't need to understand why someone else understands the way that the person understands. That is irrational. It's also dumb. You're just not happy with yourself. Sorry. So then cycle is met by advance, meaning when we projected the walkway towards the advance and understood how the inrition of the emotion works to understand the spirit view, and for that have a spirit view that is then of power, that is of its own solely to guide and guard this spirit view, even if existing somewhere else and by someone else, meaning it cannot be claimed. Someone else can still develop it. That's not your choice if you give that power idea away or not. But this time we don't just want to use this concept because it's basic fundamental level to work with this. We want to, when we know thought after we have comprehend and no understanding, meaning no danger to divert from the path, meaning no danger to comprehend, by danger to comprehend, we cycle is met by advance. So what was the advance? Just let's quickly look at the memo. We then use the events to wait a second. Yeah. This was the review. How it's reverted and so forth. Where is it? What's this memo? Yeah. Sentenize to the root the nature from spirit pattern, right? Well, this is not what we want to use. We want to sentenize, but we don't want to use this to this part. We want to use the mirror of magic, but only in its reflection towards when we visibilize all of these 3 steps to form the sentenize. And that would be helpful then if you actually understood how the Requiem is used, what the histoglyph is, how the Simet works, how to envision the result from the events, meaning you understand where you divert from the path, meaning to guard that what is to order and what you need to be able to order to insert the emotion to the framework that you want to cause it up to, meaning the spirit view, by destruction of no destruction to the element that will divert your spirit to be none in what is of harm or might be of understanding the power that you can implement by spirit view to your spirit or the emotion you can channel in yourself or in writing yourself too, but not by this process. Now, if you understood the reflection of channel by advance towards the voyeur in mirror thesis, you by now understand that the power from the histoglyph is neither of lumini nor of light, but solely of something that would be darkness, meaning can become darkness. And if you understood that, you then know that this has no attribute. It's darkness without an attribute, except that it has the attribute of darkness. And that will then allow you to cycle the Simet by the events. And the events was simply to pattern an element. But not really just that. It was also explained in the video, in the previous ideas, that by the events you can also just take a view on what you want to create with the ordering of the Simet and how the Simet is reordered. Now, if you dangered to comprehend, meaning danger to comprehend, and use the step till there's only comprehension, meaning only understand, no derivation from that, and the cycle of Simet is then caused by the events without destruction of the voyeur, meaning also no power not implemented or implemented into the spirit view, you can understand how the Simet would form now its own order, like the histoglyph's order, like the order of the histoglyph, and would change it upwards and downwards in this idea. Because the next idea of histoglyph you will have will then be different, and the one previous imagined will be indifference, meaning the new one will be totally new idea, and the previous ones will redegrade itself, meaning redevelop to the cycle of ordered by Simet. And that will channel in inration and emotion, but you also need to then cause this process by any idea totally conscious without any inspiration or any imagination or any cause from previous ideas used by this magical tool. Thus, to inwrite then the initiation is crucial to even take from 1 and 2 to step 3. And if there is then no danger to comprehend and no danger to divert from the path by channeling towards the voyeur, the events, we can, without and with a clear mind, meaning just using the tools without any distraction, any something that imagines, meaning recauses something that is unwanted in this process, to this idea. And that means that this encircling of Simet and the danger that is then gone and the clear mind that you then possess will channel the inrition, meaning the inwrite towards the emotion, to be of that idea, meaning you channel that right, meaning in right, and emotion. And now you can understand how the ZMAT is by events reordered. And if you then have no destructive and nothing but a clear mind towards working with the voyeury, and by using that to understand where danger to comprehend has its limits and there's only comprehension left, we can start with channel, meaning step 3, to actually get that emotion by the previous mentioned video to the idea where it forms a tool. And then we can understand the spirit view and how to protect it and how to understand the power of it. Meaning, in that case or scenario, we can then channel an insight to that idea. Meaning, we can use the spirit view to reflect against each other, how we explained, to cause a stabilized idea of what your spirit will become, where it is not of your own anymore, how your spirit is diverted by magic, and how you stay calm in all of this, and how to use and work with your view of spirit to not cause harm to what you are encircling, encompassing, or dowering and dower by the use of magic. And the device of something is then not nearly accomplished, meaning we need to in relation use that emotion against the cycle of the ZMAT, and only if comprehension is there, otherwise it will not work. Meaning, the danger to comprehend is the crucial tool in this time to understand then where understanding is not of development to further idea, and where step 3 can even be begun to be used. And by that you don't need step 3, but if you then arrive at that one, you need to understand where that one is derivated by this idea that you previously understood and are sure of. Meaning, the comprehension of the ZMAT and how it's used, the right and writing, or to write an emotion but not write it like a justice or law, that will then need to be in accordance with its manifest, meaning how it can be used to actually cause this, and for that how it will interact with itself to not cause by too much of use a derivation from the first steps, or to discalculate them or degrade them. Now, if you arrived at that point that you can use step 3, you can use all steps together and actually arrive at Q by using that emotion in a leveled idea towards which constructs you want to now use by events to voyeury. You then cycle the ZMAT to where you really are sure of, and no further idea, where comprehension has given you by absolute idea and absolute sure that there will be no harm done, to which idea of the void tree and the events in the last discussed video you can use to work with that inrighted emotion. And then you can start with Q if you are sure that this also is of use and of stable use, meaning the cycle of Sinet is not broken, for that is a stable idea, like a stable spirit cube. Your spirit is not reverted from the magic or by the magic, and the power you want to idealize is not to be needed of use, but can be. Just like the hypothetical of spiritual. Now, at that point, we now devise an initiated carved road, meaning when we understood that there is a bond between when we use the events towards the voyui, and that there is something like an illuminated strain from it, we now want to use the process of initiation to understand where the destruction of the cycled Simet would happen by using the inright of that emotion towards the concepts explained. Meaning understanding where the spirit view would be changed, where it would destabilize our spirit, and if of such case, carve the road away, make no cross, but cross it out. Now, the carved road is what leaves it left. By initiation, we hold no step, we take no thought, we invite none, but all that we only do no harm by. In absolute truth, meaning influence nothing except what was already explained. Now, we then initiate ourselves to this idea by devising where the roads next to it would appear. Meaning, if we usually make a street, right? Pave a road. There needs to be a decision on where the road goes and why it's carved like this. Well, magic doesn't work like that. Magic works differently. Magic would make roads everywhere, and you need to understand where the roads would collide in such a way that the pathway would not be laid. And that's what we need to initiate ourselves before to understand when our directions are not of good intention towards ourselves or anyone else. Meaning also us who explain this here. And if that then is the case, the carved road is what is left of. And we make no magic to be of plus. Meaning, at that point, we take nothing of the magical idea towards the road. The paved road is then what it is. And we guide ourselves to this which is of cause. Meaning, we understand there's no magic now added in understanding the road and where it is, how it's sentinized to be true and be of use. And by QQ, we guide this which is of course we know now what we can use to walk this idea of magic and understand danger to carved road and don't vary whatsoever. This is now visibilized to sentence, meaning sentinized in all but none, meaning no variation. And sentinized by use of way from beneath the road. Meaning we have no crossed, no alternative roads, no pathways with this magic created to understand the way. And the expectation to what could be from that is the emotion channeled writes a painted image in which you can move now. Because if you used it correctly, you now have a painted image that you can implement onto the hypothetical. Otherwise it should not be used because it's dangerous, but you cannot prevent it, like the apple idea. It doesn't work. Rotten apple. So The emotion now channeled writes a painted image in which you can move. Especially if you transfer it to the spirit view, the power, or even the hypothetical idea of magic transferred and transformed in your body. And therefore, the way that was the carved road, and is the carved road, should be of lumini. Not of light, not of darkness. Meaning it has some attribute that is of lumini to you. As previously explained, what the lumini is, I don't need to rehearse it, I think. So, if you understand your own concept of words, have your own vocabulary, and understand and guide is not teach, and teach is not learn, and learn is not understand, and no doctrine given, then you have this painted image of that carved road in which you can actually move now. Without doing much in your spirit. For that, you of course need to, again, know how to project something into the unseen and work that is unseen. It doesn't work like this. It is not changed. It's just by the memory, unreal. But, if such case, you now have something that is not a painted image. And not of design, nor of destiny. You have something that is mechanized to be a carved road. Meaning it's established against what is danger to it. If you use that road, then you will not be following a wrong path, most likely, if you don't create something new in it, and if your process was successful in all of what it is supposed to do and be, and how it was successful, idealized and worked with and manifested. Meaning, the emotion then is then your guide on that paved road that is not a painted image, not a designed image, not a crafted image, not an AI image, not anything of it. Meaning, you will not be able you will not be able to divert from the road, to be on the crossed out pathways that will not guide you somewhere. And the guide is then truly of nature which should not harm you, meaning then a tool established that is most likely, in our case of scenario, without harm, and only of use to you. You cannot change it. No magic plus, meaning no magic plus to it. Nothing added in magic. No tool, no other idea of magic, no idea of these magic ideas, nothing added, no idea added whatsoever, and therefore it is of total lumini. Nothing but else. It also doesn't need to be a carved way, meaning a pathway or a Waldweg. It can be everything, because you crafted it from imagination by total antithesis, meaning monothesis of magic. Thank you for listening.